to the She Leads podcast. I'm your host, Adrienne Garland, CEO and founder of She Leads Media, a global media company dedicated to the advancement of women leaders and entrepreneurs worldwide. I'm also an adjunct professor at NYU and Rice University, where I teach on the topic of entrepreneurship. I'm a mom to two wonderful young men and married to my best friend from college. Join me each week as I dive into raw conversations with remarkable, uncompromising, and inspirational women entrepreneurs and leaders. My hope is that these conversations and their advice will encourage you to put yourself out there and gain the visibility that you and all women deserve. We're all about stripping away the sugar-coated conversations and moving boldly in the direction of our magnificent dreams. For far too long, women have been conditioned to soften their words, modify their actions, and show up in the world to conform to outdated at best and harmful at worst cultural norms and ideals. Why? To keep those who are outside of the power structures from gaining power, prestige, wealth, and influence. This has prevented women from being recognized and respected as the powerful leaders that we truly are. The She Leads podcast is here to shine the light on all the incredible women, to encourage us to show up, speak up, and showcase the amazing work we do. Speak with confidence about the innovative and transformational thoughts that we have, and celebrate the positive impact that we are making in this world, both personally and professionally. So let's do this. Let's lead. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the She Leads podcast. This episode is brought to you by the She Leads Podcast Network. It's the podcast network for women, by women. And today, I'd like to welcome Dina Sherman to the She Leads podcast. Dina has a passion and commitment to storytelling through portraying unique and authentic characters. As a professional actress and voiceover artist for decades, her credits include stage, TV, and film, as well as animation, anime, video games, and commercials. And the voice of the Annie Awards since 2005. Dina now has a YouTube channel for kids where she brings amazing stories to children all over the world. I cannot wait to hear about this. Welcome to the She Leads podcast, Dina.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. That was a lovely introduction. Your voice is lovely. I love it. You could talk to me all day.
Oh, thank you. Well, that is a huge compliment coming from a voiceover actress. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Maybe it's an alter ego or maybe it's a side gig for me at some point. So let's dive in. I'm so excited to talk to you. We don't often talk to actresses, although actually we have been talking to so many creative people lately. So I just love it. I love women. I love everything that we do. I think that we're incredibly creative. And I just want to hear a little bit about your background, how you got into doing what you're doing, and then how did you transition from doing some of those things into what you're doing today? So let's go way back. How did you get into acting and where did that passion come from?
Well, I guess it started in high school or before that. Actually, it started before that. Way back before the turn of the century, we did not have caller ID. We had corded phones, and if you called people, you could crank call them. So I did. I would do Mervyn the Martian.
Oh my God, I love it. Oh, I would have been.
I would do like all the cartoons.
I totally would have been friends with you.
Yeah. I would be like, hi, this is the local bowling alley. No, what would I do? Sorry, I got it backwards. I would be like, hi, I'm calling the local bowling alley. Do you guys carry 10-pound balls? How do you walk? Is your refrigerator running? You might want to catch it, whatever. Just crazy stuff.
So funny.
And, apparently I found out later that some of my friends in, elementary knew it was me. They figured it out, but they were so funny. They just would let it go, and just let me call and do that.
I love that.
Yeah, that was back in the day where your Rolodex was in your brain of all your friends' phone numbers. We seem to have lost that.
Oh, let me tell you, is it still there? I have burned in my brain my best friend's telephone number from middle school, high school. I know the numbers still. Yeah. So funny.
It's so funny how now it's like, oh God, I don't even know my husband's new phone number. Like, oh, he's been at this company for 2 years. I still don't know it. But it also had area codes because we never had area codes outside of our own, because that was a collect call, or what was it where you called pretending to call collect so your parents would call you back?
Oh,
So you didn't pay for it, they did?
Oh my God, yeah.
Anyway, back then I did funny stuff and, like silly voices. I loved cartoons. In high school, I was on the speech and debate team, but I did humorous and dramatic interpretation, where I did a 10-minute piece, either a comedy for humorous or dramatic for drama, whatever. It was a published piece. So like my first one was Diary of Anne Frank, and it was 10 minutes excerpt. And I competed and I ended up going to state nationals with every year. I would do a lot of character voices. I had a knack back then and I won a lot. And it was just fun. And then I went to UCLA. I went to college, learned how to learn. And then after college, got involved in front of the camera, behind the camera, on TV and film, and then on camera, and at a casting director workshop, casting director in front of the whole group. It was like, Dina, call my office tomorrow. And everyone was like, oh, I swear, every eyeball shot to me, the other actors. And so I called the next day and he goes, yeah, you got you're great. I think you need to do voiceover. Basically, back then, The Little Mermaid had just come out and animation was dying. So he was basically telling me I had the perfect face for voiceover. And I was like, ouch. Oh my God.
That's
I know. Like, yeah, you got a great face for radio. Woohoo. It was the same thing. Radio is voiceover. Oh, in case your listeners don't know what voiceover is, let me digress.
Yes, please. Take us down that path.
So voiceovers is anytime you hear a human voice, but you don't see a person. So on the radio, that's obviously voiceover. On TV, if you hear, like you see the images like the Nike ads or the Gatorade ads, and you hear the person talking in the background, like under a picture, that's a voiceover. That's just a commercial. At the very end, when you hear, terms and conditions don't apply, please, blah, 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 and they do it really fast. That's a tag, but it's still a voiceover. Animation.
Yeah.
You see things, inanimate objects talk, dogs, tools, the kitchen sink. We can make anything talk as long as it's animated or you have the right apps. Yeah. That's voiceover. Another thing that's voiceover is if you ever watch a TV show or a movie being filmed, it's always quiet on the set. And the only people you hear talking are the main actors who are mic'd. And it's perfectly quiet. And then when you watch the TV show or film, you hear all these people talking in the background. You hear the hubbub of the restaurant. You hear, conversations, or in a hospital, you'll hear the PA system, or the airport, the PA system. The white zone is for loading and unloading of vehicles only. The red zone, that's all put in later. That's all called voiceover. It's ADR, audio dialogue replacement. So there was no dialogue when it was originally recorded or filmed. But later, as actors, we go in and lay all that down for you. And if the show is in another country, then they get foreign actors with the local dialogue or dialect, laying down background so that it's authentic. So that's pretty much the basics of voiceover. Anytime you hear of a human voice, but you don't see the person.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's in everything that we do. It's in everything that we see. So it's a very lucrative and busy field, I would imagine. Even, my husband has a small business, and the recordings that when, you reach his office, those are voiceover actors who read those different scripts. And, we use a service and we get to choose who the voiceover people are. So it's not just even in entertainment, it's also for business purposes as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did you sort of go from debate and winning all of the nationals and all of that? How did you sort of get into film and TV? And then you are also the voice of the Annie Awards since 2005, which is amazing. And then you have now started a YouTube channel for kids. So sort of take us through that journey.
Ooh, well, okay. In a nutshell, it's a lot of years. So after college, it's funny. I'm an outgoing person, but I'm not super out. I don't like to be the center of attention or the star of the room. That's not my thing, but I love playing characters. I've always loved comedy. And so I liked being on camera. I liked doing more TV and film than stage so much, although I've done a lot of stage and I did enjoy it. But I love to play. I love improv. And so I did get into that field and I got lucky to go from on camera to voiceover at a time that it was a good time to do it. During that time, I had an agent. He's actually a misogynist. I learned the word. But the one thing I am grateful to him for is one, taking me on in the agency. But he also yelled at me and said, okay, so you're in this business. What are you doing for others? I'm like, what? I'm, young in my 20s. And he's like, what do you do for other people? What charities do you have? How are you giving back? What's wrong with you? He didn't do it in the nicest of ways.
Wow.
But he made a good point. He really, really did. And it's like, I am lucky. I get to do something I absolutely love and I get paid occasionally for it. I don't get paid for auditions and it is not quite lucrative, except unless you're the one, the little percentage and you're on a lot of series or you book those national commercials. It is not that lucrative. Just FYI, It's a lot of work. Business-wise, you can go into business side of things because I know I'm talking to a lot of entrepreneurs and business people, and there are some things that I think do correlate, but he made me look at things outside of myself, not just personally, professionally. And so I got involved with charity organizations for a while because I wasn't making a ton of money. I had a campaign that I did for a year, and I carried it on for a few years afterwards, where as I made money, I wanted to donate it. Since I didn't have enough savings to donate a lump sum, I wanted to make a difference, put my money where my mouth was. That was my campaign. And I said, I want to make a difference and I want it to be substantial. So I, for that year, said, if you hire me, 50% of my fee, 50% of it I will donate straight to the Alzheimer's Association. So as I earned it, I donated. World is weird. People said, well, if you're going to do that, why can't I just hire you for half the amount? I'm like, no, that's not the point. The point is, let's make a difference together. So the campaign was kind of a mediocre, the economy was doing weird things and people, it's just weird. After that, I had it on my business cards. People were like, are you serious? You would really do this? And I said, if you ask me to, if you hire me and you want me to this was years afterwards, I'm happy to. I went from the Alzheimer's Association. I did charity events with my son. We did a bunch of different organizations. But throughout that whole time, the one thing that was always really important to me was literacy. Reading. Stories open your mind, open your world. And for children, being able to have a story read to you or reading fairy tales or reading books and reading these things take you beyond your world. It spurs your imagination. It fills your empathy and your understanding of others. It's just so much reading can do. So I was always in schools reading. Before I had kids, I actually worked. I had to quit because I'm like, hi, I can't come in. I'm actually in labor. I was working at it's called TLC, the Learning Center. It's for adults with severe learning disabilities, blind, and a lot of other issues. Deaf didn't fit in so well because I read to them, but they had a lot of severe issues. Yeah. And I read there and then at the schools, at underprivileged schools, and then at my kids' schools. And this went all the way up until March of 2020 when the world shut down. And the teachers were like, could you just send us videos? And I'm like, no, I can't. The video size is too large to send in. You can't send a video of a book of reading. And so within a week, I created my YouTube channel. And for the next year and a half, I had teachers and my neighbors, because, the world was shut down, put books out and I would collect, books from everybody and I would just read. I read 1 or 2 a week and I was also creating content telling little puppet shows with my hands or making jokes, whatever it was, to put out content because people were locked down and they needed stories. And the teachers had books that were part of their curriculum that I read. I then put out on Facebook and all social media that I was doing this in my channel. And so I got authors from all over the world who were trying to get their stories out. I put them on my channel as well.
Wow.
And it was amazing. It was
wonderful.
an amazing time, an amazing experience. I had to learn 2 different editing softwares. I mean, my learning curve went from I know nothing tech to, so much. But I did it. I did it. And I love what I've created. And I love some of the stuff that I created and on my channel. And actually, one of the more recent things I did, I found an app that I use where I had these eggs. So last Halloween, I had the unexpected spooky stories. And I made these little DIY eggs that I decorated with the little kids' handcraft stuff I had in the house and glue. And I put it on my app and I had them tell spooky stories. 5 little eggs. All of them had something different.
That's so cool.
And a friend of mine who's a producer said, Dina, you've got something with this. Let's create something. So I'm in the process of doing something with my eggs. And it's adult animation. It's not for my channel. It's not for kids. It's very raunchy. It's very funny. Super
I love
inappropriate.
This. Oh my gosh.
With, fart jokes,
I love this. When will that be coming out?
So animation is not as easy as a YouTube channel. It takes a while to animate.
Yes.
I asked one animator I was going to work with, I said, well, how much can you do in a day? And he goes, I made about 3 seconds a day. I was like, what? And he wanted, just to give you an idea, $50 an hour. And if his day is 8 hours, that's 50 times 8 for 3 seconds. That's unaffordable. So I'm in the process of figuring out money and finding a different way of doing it, which I think I might have found. Yeah, I'm very excited. It's called Bad Eggs. I do have it up on YouTube as a placeholder so you can see it. It's EGGZ.
I love it.
The Z at the end. Bad Eggs. And you can subscribe before it even launches just to be there and know when it actually launches. But it takes a while. Animation, I know the thing I did when I started to get into voiceovers is I wanted to learn about it. I wanted to learn about animation. So I called people and I people I knew, and I said, can you teach me what you do? Can I come to your studio? You show me what an animatic is. Show me how you animate. What's the difference between 2D and CG or 3D? So I understand the process. And I remember them saying for a TV show, 30-minute, 26-minute TV show, to go from concept recording, so the voices are recorded first in America, to you see it on TV is 7 months. 7 months to animate, just a short. So it is a process.
Yeah. Wow.
There's my long answer to trying to be short.
Yeah. So it's such an interesting story. And I think the part that's interesting for the audience, of course, is just your journey, right? And we were talking a little bit before we started recording about how sometimes as we move through life, where we're going doesn't necessarily look like we thought it might look when we first started out. Sometimes we approach our lives and try to build our professions with some type of identity that we have in mind, and we work so hard at it. And, if it's not the thing that we want to keep pursuing, there's a little bit of guilt that, hey, we've put so much time and energy into this one area of our lives. Maybe it just lost its sparkle at some point. And, I'm not saying that the acting or the voiceover lost its sparkle for you, but it definitely morphed into something different. And it's so funny that you told the story about the person, the misogynist, who yelled at you about what are you doing to help people, because that's very, very judgmental. And I would have turned around and said to him, what are you doing to help people before you tell me what, I need to do. And how did he even know who you are and what you do? So that was very bold and emblazoned of him, which is absolutely
It's a part
ridiculous.
of who he was.
That was him projecting himself
Mm-hmm.
onto you. And I think it's awful that somebody put their beliefs and values onto someone else, and it shamed you into doing something that's good, which is a good outcome. But what you're doing now is with the children's stories and reading to them and everything you did, during COVID and everything, that is a beautiful thing because that's in alignment with who you are. And not that what you were doing before wasn't in alignment, but the fact that you said like, oh yeah, it wasn't, it didn't really hit. Well, you know what? Yeah, I can see why it didn't hit because someone shoved it down your throat and shamed you into forcing yourself to pick something versus it just emerging organically, which is where you've come to in your life. So maybe he put the idea in your head, but he absolutely went about it the wrong way. And I think that
Thank you.
is terrible. But anyway, yeah. So I just kind of want to communicate to the audience that we can have so many different talents and skills and all of it. And sometimes we don't know where it's going to lead. And I think we have to be open to allowing our lives to also pull us through and go after different opportunities. And I love, Dina, I love the fact that, you're obviously not 19 or 20 just starting your career out. You're in another phase of your career and you're just getting started, right? With this next chapter. I think that's
Thank
so
you.
exciting.
It's interesting. You said so many things. I want to see if I can address them quickly. People say things to us, especially actors, but I think as women in general, we get judged on. I used to say your opinions are showing. You're opinionating on me, Okay, that's your opinion. And it hurts. I do not deny that a lot of times what people say to us hurts. And depending who says it, we have our shields. Yep. We have our walls up. And sometimes we can deflect. And sometimes it comes straight in and it hurts and it can hurt for days. But then look at it, which is what I did with this agent. What's the point? The point is I should be doing something different. I should figure out how to help others. Okay? F him and how he told me and how he made me feel. But maybe I should look at this. Then there's the thing you said about being ashamed of not achieving what we need to achieve. There's something that happened along my journey. I have 2 kids. And as women who try to juggle so freaking much between children and work and husbands and, our resumes should really say a lot more than they do. I found myself one day when my kids were young with a 2-hour window in the middle of the day. And I went to the library and I checked out, I checked out a romance novel, just a piece of, bubble gum, right? Just, trash. I'm like, and I went to this beautiful little restaurant across the street and I sat down and I had ordered myself an iced tea and a salad. And I started to read the book and I'm thinking, crap, I really have to do this. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I was shoulding all over myself. And I knew my time was up and I had to go back and pick up the kids and get through the rest of my day and get my auditions done and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right? By the way, my inner, we all have our inner song. My inner song was Barnum and Bailey. Yeah, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That was my internal monologue song. So anyway, I felt bad. I did not feel refreshed after my beautiful little lunch, whatever. And so I decided, whatever, right? It was 3 months before I got that opportunity again. 3 months. And all of a sudden I found myself with a 2-hour window. God. And I went, I took myself back to the library, got another book, went back to that restaurant, ordered my salad, ordered my iced tea, and went, I will never should on myself again. Whenever I get an opportunity to find that moment, to be with me or to be with a friend that you don't get to see and you get to catch up with, I do not should on myself anymore. There's a speaker used to say, don't should on yourself and don't masturbate. I must do this. I must do that. You're masturbating.
Mustard. I've never heard
I was
that.
really young. Isn't that great? So
That's a
no
good
shooting
one.
on yourself and no masturbating. If you find yourself, obviously don't procrastinate too much. Don't put everything off till tomorrow. But when you find you have that little window of opportunity, embrace it and see where it takes you. The other thing I learned is, from Jim Carrey, Yes Man. The reason I have a YouTube channel is because I said, yes, I can do this. Somebody show me. Yes, I can edit. Yes, send me your books. Yes, I said yes to everything I possibly could. It was hard. It was really hard. I was a team of me. There was nobody else. We were locked down. It was just me doing all of it. And I did burn out. I'm not doing as much now for it, but my path is changing a little bit. By the way, I still do have my career. I still audition a ton and I still work. I forgot I have to record tomorrow and I need to go over the stuff with the woman, so I am still working. But I heard something else on the radio I want to share because I don't know if I'm assuming your audience is a range of young college girls all the way up to mature women who have life experience that we can say F off. We get to a point where you're
That's
full
right.
of it. And I don't need to do that anymore. We know who we are. Now, you know who you're women. We know as a woman, I know who I am and what I will put up with and what I won't. And it's beautiful to get to this age. And I wished we had it when we were 20. But I wish I had that skin of my 20-year-old. But
who cares? Seriously, really?
No,
who cares?
I do. I miss.
You're beautiful.
I miss sticky brain.
On.
I miss sticky brain because as a 20-year-old, I remembered everything. Now, not so much. And I don't like having to apply so much makeup when I go out.
Who cares?
I wish.
So just don't wear makeup.
I was but I'm still an actor. Sometimes I have to.
Oh,
but
true.
The thing I heard on the radio that I want to share that I thought was brilliant and I want to share with all my fellow women out there was we have different stages in our lives, right? We have our 0 to 25, which is you have your adolescence goes through there. Then you've got 25 through 50. And there's an age in there. And then you've got 50 to 75, 75 to 100. What this woman said was from 50 to 75 has become middlescence. It's not adolescence anymore. We're not discovering who we are, what we want to do with our life. We've now hit a stage where from 25 to 50, we're doing it. We're doing what we want with our life because we figured it out in our adolescence and we struggled, we're struggling through it and we're going on that journey. But 50 to 75, it's like we've done it. We've achieved some of it. We've achieved what we wanted to from it or not at all. And we're now taking a turn. We're rediscovering who we are and what we can do. Yeah. And we're making a new change. And I was like, that's good. So true. We're in adolescence. We can now
I love this.
Right?
That's what we should name this episode, Middlescence.
I took it from somebody else and I wish I could credit her. It's like, when you drive and you hear something brilliant on NPR and you're like, who is this? And then you get to your destination and never figure it out. And it's just, but it sticks with you. If you're hearing this, whoever you are that came up with this, please reach out to Adrienne and get on and She Leads and talk about this.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It is so empowering to think that, we are now in a place that we can read. If you want to learn gardening, garden. Yeah. If you want to do gardening and write a book, do both. Do it. And it doesn't have to be a book about gardening.
No.
It can be a trashy novel that some mom gets to read in her 2-hour window.
That's right. Oh my gosh. I think we could write those out like Stephen King writes his books, right?
We all need to embrace all those things. And when we fail and when we don't do what we set out to achieve, because I've tried to produce cartoons and they're not working. Okay, so they're still there. How am I going to let it go? Maybe. Am I going to make it into a book? Possibly. Maybe. Or am I going to wait till it gets another opportunity?
Yeah.
There's not necessarily a giving up directing. In my mind, that's for me.
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's terrific. Dina, I love this so much. And I think that's sort of the the message for this whole entire conversation, and one that we'll wrap on, because we do have so much collective wisdom. We have so many, friends and relationships that over the years have, and, professional, personal, that have come and gone, and some have, stuck around. And all of it informs exactly who we are and where we are. And I do think we need to take a look at it. We need to take stock sometimes and say, is this where we want to keep moving toward? And if not, like, that's okay, right? You can redirect. We have the power to redirect. We've always had the power to redirect. But I think that as we sort of get a little bit older, a little bit more mature, we realize that we actually do have the power, because as I think in our sort of generation that had the corded phones that you wrapped from the kitchen all the way upstairs to your bedroom to talk to your friends for 7 hours. I did that. We had the power back then, but I don't think that we realized it, but we do. So I love your story. I can't wait for this, Dirty Eggs
Bad eggs.
show to come out. What is it? Bad Eggs. Bad eggs.
Eggs.
Yes, it reminds me of Bad Moms. Bad Eggs, Bad Moms. I can't wait to watch it. I know it's going to be so, so funny. And I just really appreciate you sharing your story with us here today on the She Leads podcast. And if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to learn more about you, if they want to, watch the YouTube channel, how can they get in touch with you?
Oh, I'm all over social media. So on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, I believe it's just Dina Sherman, Dina Sherman, Sherman, like the tank, even though I'm a tiny thing. Sherman tank. And it's just on TikTok, it's Dina Sherman 21. My website is just www.dinasherman.com. I'm on LinkedIn. Please find me on LinkedIn for all you business people. I would love to connect business-wise as well. I mean, and yes, I do need a following on social media. So if you follow me on Instagram and Facebook and X, please do, because unfortunately, a lot of this business is popularity. So if it looks like I have a following, I must be good. Not 30 years of experience. Yes. No, just popular. Yeah, welcome to my world. And I'm on TikTok too, but I don't post as much there. And for my YouTube channel for kids, and I'm hoping to start reading again. I'm actually in the process of trying to learn new software for editing, so that I can do a different way, so that the books can come alive more as opposed to me reading. It's the stories.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I have to learn stuff again. Always learning. Always learning. And the stories are Dina Sherman Stories and More. All one word, Dina Sherman Stories and More on YouTube. And that's my story channel. And Bad Eggs is Bad EGGZ, but it's really a placeholder. There's nothing there yet, just an image. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, there is one thing. Can I add one more thing for everyone?
Sure.
So I went to a couple of seminars, and one of the things I was told that works better for other industries, but it's harder for voiceover. It's really hard for what I do, but I still figured out a way to use it, is asking yourself the question when you're networking, because networking is important when you're meeting people, asking yourself, what can I do to solve your problem? So figuring out what the other person is working on, what they're doing, what their project is. If you want to work for them or work with them, or you're looking for a job, don't ask for the job necessarily. If it's an opportunity, say, well, I hear that you need this. Do you know my company does X, Y, and Z? If there's a way we can help you achieve that, let me know. Here's my card. So being very specific.
That's great advice.
Targeted. Yeah. I mean, you don't always have to. It's like, hey, let's exchange cards. I might have an idea to help you. And you can do it another time too. But instead of saying, hey, hire me, I know what to do to help you. It's like saying, I hear you. I hear what you need. This is what I can do to solve your problem.
So good. That's really great advice. It's so relevant too. It's too bad that this episode is going to come out in a couple of weeks because I teach at NYU at the Tisch Center for Hospitality. I teach entrepreneurship, and the class tomorrow night, we are talking all about networking and the power of our networks. So I will definitely bring that up, but it would have been very cool to share the episode with my students. But I will share the golden nugget from this episode.
Absolutely. Well, you can always Zoom me in. I will tell you what you want. I will talk to them, and
awesome.
answer questions. I love to network because I love meeting people, but it's about meeting them and making a relationship and a connection first.
Exactly. Well, I love that so much. And so I'm happy that you and I have established a great relationship and had such a wonderful conversation. I love all of your stories, Dina, and I just love your energy. So thank you so much for spending time with me here today. And just thank you for being on the She Leads podcast. And we will talk to you soon.
Thank you. And thank you for what you do.
This and all of our episodes are brought to you by the She Leads Podcast Network, the podcast network for women, by women. Thanks so much for listening to the She Leads podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support us, please share it with others, make a personalized post about what you took away on social media, and please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. This helps our guests and our show to continue to gain visibility and traction. To learn more about how She Leads Media helps women to gain visibility, you can follow us on Instagram at She Leads Media, or you can head on over to sheleadsmedia.com. If you'd like to network with me and other amazing women, don't forget to join us each year for the She Leads Live conference. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon. This is the She Leads Podcast Network.